It's estimated that 60 million people will die as a side effect of lockdowns worldwide. Let that sink in for a minute. Welcome to the Singh podcast. I'm your host, Singh, and today's episode is I'm going to be talking about lockdowns and the economic effect that lockdowns will have on the world. So I started off with that figure. Where did I get that from? It's actually from a study by Bristol University based on what they estimate the effect of lockdowns will have on the economy, poverty, healthcare. I think it was over the next 25 years. But they estimated just for the UK, which it was a really rough figure, but it's between 140,000 and 400,000 people dying in the UK due to the effects of having such an enforced lockdown. Now, let me give you a couple other stats to compare that with. The COVID-19 worldwide death toll currently is at 435,000 people. And it's estimated that that figure will rise to approximately 2 million by 2021. That's assuming that there is a second wave and it starts spreading again and does unfortunately cause a lot of deaths. So when you look at those figures there again, like 60 million from lockdowns versus 2 million for COVID-19. I mean, it's quite a big difference. Let me give you another stat. The Spanish flu, which was deadly flu, that killed 50 million people worldwide between 1918 and 1919, which is crazy. And when you put all those facts together, it's kind of like the lockdowns could potentially do more damage. But how did I get to that figure? I did a bit of number crunching and I just basically extrapolated the UK estimate for the rest of the world's population. It's very rough, don't get me wrong, but it does kind of highlight a very, very big concern, that is, what was the reason for having such a long, enforced, extended lockdown? I mean, we already know a lot of companies have been going out of business, laying off loads of staff. Then you got to think about all the businesses that have taken grants and loans and furlough. The government have got to recover that money somehow, and I think we're going to see maybe in the next year or so the start of that recovery that the government will have to make. You know, they may whack up interest rates. We've already seen now congestion charge is being increased and extended to the weekend. I imagine TfL, when things go back to normal, they're going to rapidly exponentially increase their rates. And I think we'll see that across the board. Living costs will increase because of unemployment. People won't be able to afford to pay their bills, pay their mortgage. So I think we're looking at a very, very nasty, big recession, long recession coming up. And it's not great. So the question is, like, why did the government do this? To be honest, the UK government have been absolutely terrible at responding to the COVID-19 pandemic. I mean, towards the end, like in June, they they enforced that people should wear masks on public transport, that would have been the first move. I'm not against the lockdown. I think it should have been done, but it should not have stayed on this long. Loads of companies have gone out of business. Myself, I lost all my clients. At the beginning of the year, I started a video production company, just myself, and I had three clients lined up, and they all had to cancel because of lockdown. So that I was DOA, dead on arrival. I just started it, and it was cut short, very short. Fortunately, I got a job now, but it wasn't the route that I was going down. I was a contractor. Even that side of things was really difficult. The whole market, the recruitment market, the whole market, the job market was just at a halt. So lockdown has made a real negative effect already in the UK to the economy, I think. We see like loads of big companies like Monzo, even digital companies like Monzo, laying off loads of staff, Airbnb. It's just the beginning, I think, of a long recession. But let me go back to how I think like the lockdown or the lockdowns worldwide cause so much death. And it like, remember, this is over an extended period of time, like I think 20-25 years. So it is a long period of time, but that's the effect of that. I'm just trying to illustrate the effect of lockdown as well, that it will have a long lasting effect. Whereas COVID-19, once they get a vaccine, maybe in a year or two, can be squashed, and like that bug can be kind of controlled completely in a year or two. The effects of lockdown will be stretching over the next 20 years. So yeah, I mean, the first thing obviously that will cause deaths is there will be a big recession. This will lead to, obviously this will be based on companies going out of business, laying off loads of staff. So there'll be loads of unemployment. What happens then, and looking in the past and at history and previous recessions, you get an increase in crime. People who are less able to get reduced access to healthcare. So more people die that way. Basically, what I'm talking about is poverty. There's going to be a lot more poverty. There's going to be a lot more poor people. We're going to see increase in homelessness as well. People lose their houses because they can't pay the mortgage, going into default. And it's just terrible. Simply put, it's just terrible. Now, looking forward, so like, okay, we've got all these issues. How let me paint let me kind of broaden that picture. So how will the world look, the new world after COVID and lockdown is lifted and got rid of? So we're already seeing now rich people and big business owners are being bailed out. So a lot of companies are being bailed out by the government. They are getting no interest or low interest loans. They were furloughing their staff. They were just getting bailouts from the government. And a side effect of this is that the government now have doled out all this money. How are they going to recover it? That's the big question. How are they going to recover it? It's kind of obvious that tax is just going to go through the roof at a certain point. General living costs is just going to be ridiculous. We can start to see the effects of this already. So it's quite a worrying outlook, to be fair. I also think the new world, so increased living costs is definitely going to be an image of the future. I think it will be the end of retail high street. So retail is just going to die. The high street, as we all know it, I think is going to suffer the most. It already has been. So the high street retail has been on a massive decline recently anyway, where we were seeing like Mother Care, Toys R Us in the last couple of years shutting down across the UK. A lot of companies just reducing the number of stores there are. You can look at like restaurant and food services like KFC, that I think they closed down a load of stores not long ago. It's changing. People are we're kind of being boosted into the information age, where you really don't need to leave your house to get anything you want. You've got Amazon, you've got all these food delivery services. The courier services for companies are what is now being invested in, and it's the way the world is going and how we're seeing like commerce go. I also see like a major increase, obviously, in digital services. So if a company hasn't gone digital yet, they surely will be now, and we're going to see a lot more Amazon-like retail stores. So online retail stores, a lot of them, every company will have to move online, otherwise they'll be out of business. So how can we adapt? It's a tough one. So let me tell you my story. Like I said before, I started a video production company or business at the beginning of this year. I saved up enough money for about 3-4 months to kind of go full time into freelance video production. And I had this plan, I've got 3-4 months. I'm going to give it a shot, see if it can gain traction, get new clients, see if I can make a living off of it, or at least a side business. Because I always had contracting or my coding skills to fall back on. So what happened, I started this in about January, February. Very soon afterwards, COVID-19 was spreading across the world. European countries like Italy started a lockdown, and it was looking like, UK would have to do one soon as our lockdown happened. Lost my clients. The 2-3 that I had booked in with work, lost them completely. So it was a big hit. I was a little, depressed, to say the least. It kind of hit me. I was like, this was, I was hoping to go down a path where I could really do some fun work. Like, I really enjoy filmmaking, and I thought, if I can make a living off of it, it would just make me super happy. I still love coding, and it's still my primary thing, but kind of thinking of coding as a side hustle and then making video my main business would have been fun for a bit, at least like a couple of years, or to see just to see where it goes. But then, lockdown happened, and immediately when I started, then I didn't panic, but I waited for a bit, still trying to get some video work, still trying my best, like, to put myself out there and get new clients. I was pivoting, so my style of video work is more like short documentaries and corporate videos, adverts, and obviously with the lockdown, couldn't do any filming with people, so I pivoted that business and tried to get clients doing product videos and photography. But I just didn't have any material that, like, all my previous work, video work, has been short documentaries. So just trying to pivot and all of a sudden, like, make videos and stuff, product videos, just wasn't feasible, and it would be a major risk at that point. So I thought, let me fall back on my contracting, my coding, and the market was dead. I tried for like 2-3 months to get a contract, and it's completely dead. Especially at my level, there was just a halt on recruitment. Every recruiter that I spoke to, every recruiter that I have a good sort of every recruiter in my network that I spoke to said that it's just completely dead. Everyone's halted, and that was an issue because that was basically, I was starting to worry now. What am I going to do if I can't fall back on contracting and coding? Fortunately, like towards the end of like April, beginning of May, I started to see some companies start recruiting again. And mind you, like not every business has been affected in a bad way by COVID-19. There are some businesses, especially companies related to banking and finance, actually seeing an increase. So it was promising, jobs were coming back on the market. But that would mean the jobs that were coming back on were permanent jobs. Now, I said in a video a couple of years ago that I did on YouTube that you'd be mad, you'd be stupid to go perm when you can be a contractor and earn loads more money and actually have control of your money and run it like a business, because it's more satisfying when you're running your own business. And I take that back because the market's not there anymore. That was at a time where the market was flourishing. There were so many contracts. It was easy to land a contract. There was no effort required. There was just loads of work. Now, there's not much, and it's still an issue now today. When I take a look on LinkedIn now and again, people are still struggling. Contractors that are die-hard contractors that refuse to go perm are really in the shit now. They are struggling. They're looking hard, but I know they're all probably considering to go perm. But I went perm. I looked at a few jobs. I didn't go straight into the first thing that I found. I looked around, found a company, and it's a great company. So happy to actually be part of it, because it was a massive weight off my shoulders to get the job, obviously, because now it's like guaranteed income. I can pay my bills, which is always nice. But also, like, I enjoy the work. It was in line with what I do. It's what I specialize in, which is like finance, building applications for financial services. And so that's the reason why I went perm, because it was really an act of survival. But the bonuses is turning out to be more. Like, I'm really enjoying it, and I can see myself now being in this job, especially for quite a while. I've been perm in the past, and I had a 5-year stint at a financial services company, so I can easily see myself doing at least 5 years at this new one, which is great. But there's still this niggling feeling like, this bubble could burst at any point as well, because it's fragile. The market is fragile. Like, when you got something like a pandemic that you can't control, everything can go to shit. So, what do you do? How can we adapt to, like, how can we avoid this happening again? Especially for our personal financial situation, the ability, our ability to survive. How can we kind of adapt and ensure that this doesn't happen again? And so now what I'm looking at is creating additional income streams. Like, I think it's a big issue, or it's a bad move to rely on one income. You can't put your eggs all in one basket. You got to spread them, and because if one goes down, at least you got the others that's bringing some sort of income in. So I am starting to build up additional income streams. I still have my video skills, and building up my video side of the business. Then I'm also looking at creating an e-commerce site where I sell sort of t-shirt design, because I like to do a bit of art and design as well, and just building a brand where I can sell kind of mugs, t-shirts, that sort of thing, hoodies. That will create another income stream. So, this is the way I think, you can adapt, and that's just, don't rely on one income, create additional income streams, and hopefully, if there is, like, God forbid, another pandemic, but there will be one. Let's not get that wrong. Even this recession is going to be a long one, but even if something happens where, like there's some new technology is like discovered or created that kind of produces more jobs and builds up the economy again, even if that happens, even if the recession is short, it doesn't stop a world event happening that can cause the economy to collapse as well. So it's always better to be prepared. Like, saving money is good, and having cash, but I believe, like, investing that into something tangible like gold, silver, shares are a bit volatile, so I don't know if I would recommend that. But something like property, gold, silver, something like, acquiring assets that have a steady value or a slowly increasing value, is the way to go. Don't rely on one income. Also, like, with this new world as well, like, it's already happening now, but companies are adapting, and the workforce is working from home. Like, the majority of the workforce is working from home. I think this is saving costs for everyone, across the board, the companies, and like, by not having big offices and stuff like that, businesses will then start to kind of consider hiring people, internationally, where rates in other countries are a lot less and they can save a lot of money. So I think that will be a thing to that will happen as well in the future, if it's not already happening now. But working from home, or having a job where you can work from home, is a way to adapt. So when you are now considering, like, what you can do to make sure that you are not affected by a pandemic or anything, try and get into a profession, try and get a job that you can do working from home. That way you're kind of flexible and you won't be affected by a lockdown, if it does happen again. Another way to adapt is digitizing your business, if you have one, or if you are looking to work, or if you don't have one, work for a company that is digitized or in the process of digitizing their product or their services. This will ensure, obviously, that you are, kind of immune, not immune, but you won't be severely affected by another pandemic. And I think another thing to think about is innovation. So technology can not cure, but technology can definitely help avoid such a situation from severely affecting the economy. And when I say innovation, I'm talking about, like, virtual reality, augmented reality, because then you can meet a person, feel like you can feel like you're meeting them in person, but in a virtual environment. Already now, like, Zoom, Google Hangouts, all that stuff is being widely used by everyone now, which is great. And the next step to that is, like, to get a more realistic feeling of meeting people and talking to people, you can go into VR or AR. And yeah, I mean, and yeah, those are the kind of things that I think we can help you adapt to the next big pandemic or this recession that's coming. So yeah, I mean, in this episode, I just wanted to talk about my thoughts on this. And there are some studies, like I said, like Bristol University have estimated that the effects of lockdown are going to be severe, probably even worse than what COVID will end up being. So it's just a kind of, I just wanted to share this because I think it's interesting, and I do believe there's some truth to it. But only time will tell, and I hope everyone, stays safe. Think about what you can do to adapt and how you can help yourself and your family from really being hit by this recession. Well, that's all I want to talk about today. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments, send me some messages. You'll be able to find me on Instagram or any social media platform at Sukh Singh or at Sukh Singh Media. So yeah, if you agree with me, let me know. If you don't agree with me, let me know. But it'd be great to start a conversation and a debate about this. But yeah, I hope this episode was kind of brought some important information to your attention. I hope it helps you think of ways that you can adapt to a looming recession, or at least, if there isn't one, how to be well prepared for the next pandemic. I'm Sukh Singh, signing out.
Nate Rose, oh yeah, I'm finna pop. Yeah, baby, hit the spot like summer and some dipping dots. Jackpot sound coming at you through a different slot. You can try your luck, but end up missing from a liver shot.